Welcome to Hardheaded Podcast. We're excited that you've joined us as we have a conversation. We found that a good conversation allows us to share what's on our mind, whether current events, what's grinding our gears, or our pet peeves.
It also allows us to share our top 3, a list of our favorite things on any given subject, most of which are highly opinionated. In closing, we share a good word. Solid friendships are encouraging. Even if we joke and give each other a hard time, our ultimate responsibility is to uplift each other.
Our goal is that you'll feel like you're part of the conversation, like you were in the studio with us, and that you feel encouraged after tuning in to our podcast. It's time to join the conversation.
All right, so today on the show, we got what is on Mr. Amos's mind. I can't wait to hear this because there was some turmoil in the office here.
That's fine.
About that.
We're better now.
Yeah,
it's all good.
They kissed and made up. So
speaking of, I gotta get my research.
Can't wait to hear
Is
that.
it in the trash?
It was.
It was in the trash. Now it's not. All right, and then we're going on to top 3 after that, and it's the top 3 golf courses that you would like to play at eventually in your lifetime.
You would like to play. You don't end your sentences in a preposition.
That's why I kept on going and said in your lifetime.
Oh, okay.
He was doing a run-on sentence.
That's right, because I did end it in at, and I was like, that is improper grammar, and I sound like an idiot. So yeah, and then we're going to end it with a good word with Mr. Chet Sears. So Matt, why don't you get us kicked off with what's on your mind?
Well, I will tell you the first thing that's on my mind is when you said ending phrases in a preposition. I don't know if any of y'all remember Whitest Kids You Know, little sketch comedy group back in the day, but some of their stuff is extremely inappropriate, but they had one where if you ended a sentence in a preposition, they had all different kinds of like a hockey punch, or I'll have to show you guys after this is over. It's funny.
Yeah.
It cracks me up every time because it's about grammar. And
how long is that video?
8 minutes, maybe 7 minutes.
Like, see, he did this to me the other day. Like, there's some stuff that he finds on TikTok that's rather funny. He's like, hey, I got to show you this video. I'm like, okay. And so, I wheel over and he shows me, and it's a TikTok's like, what, 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
Well, they can be up to 3 minutes long on TikTok, but they're normally 30 to 90 seconds.
Yeah. So there's a expectation on time commitment to me breaking what I'm doing to go. Well, man, the other day, he's like, hey, look at this video. It's like 30 minutes long.
It was nine minutes.
It was way too long. I was like, how do I break away from this? Because I committed to come over here to watch it, but now it's just like dragging on.
Yeah.
There were some funny parts, but then I'm like, really? Come on. I thought this was a 30-second deal, and it's not. We're 4 minutes into this.
Yeah. Well, that video, just so you know, is Vinny the Chin from YouTube way back in the day. And it was
which is also inappropriate for our listeners that are out there.
Yeah. But it's a parody of the when reality TV shows started coming out and how they did casting for the it's pretty
it's like a casting video.
Yeah, and it's all
how
fake.
To be on the Jersey Shore.
It's all fake.
Yeah. That's why when he's like, "Oh, I got to show you this video after the thing," I'm like, well, how long are we going to be around here? Like, I need to know now.
I need to know.
I've been betrayed before.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You haven't been betrayed too many times.
Most
of the stuff I give you is pretty good. But anyway, so today what's on my mind is, I was scrolling through Facebook, and as a wounded service member in the VA system, and, a lot of my friends are wounded themselves, whether they're amputees or paraplegics or whatever. And there was a post that came through that just caught my eye, and it said, this whole thing where Biden, the grant money for certain things, and one of them was
crack pipes,
and it's $30 million for this.
Did you hear about this?
Gotta get my crack pipe.
Well, it's free, of course. Tyrone.
Hey, Biden, gotta get my crack pipe.
But it's like, and then
so I'm guessing you did hear about it.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
My wife actually fact checked it and found that it was false, but
yeah. So
no, did she go on Snopes?
I'm sure she did Snopes. I'm not sure.
Snopes lies.
Oh, I've heard that too. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been proven. So Snopes is. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So can I get my crack pipe? That's all I want to know.
Either way, I don't know if you can get your crack pipe or not. I don't know if it's in there, it's a $30 million package. Whether it's providing condoms or whatever else is in there, doesn't matter, because the very next sentence was, and yet I'm being taken off of the VA's caregiver program, or my wife is being taken off of the VA's caregiver program due to restructuring. So they're basically what the VA caregiver program is it's basically a stipend given to caregivers, whether that's your wife, your mom, or if you have your sister living with you to take care of you, whatever it is, and what it's meant to do is help you with your activities of daily living or your ADLs. And so when I retired, I was like, well, whatever, I'm not going to qualify for that, and so I really didn't even bother with it while I was still initially transitioning, which in retrospect was the time when I should have applied for it, because that's when I actually needed the most assistance from my wife, before I came to Peoples and was able to go do more stuff. And so I'm not your example, and I'm not the one I'm not arguing for myself, I guess I should say. I'm arguing for these families that are being kicked off this program that actually need the money, because their spouse can't work because they actually do take care of their husband, or son, whatever, daughter, however that goes.
Yeah.
And within that, so as I retired and I got out, I started looking around, and then I'm hearing of all these people that are getting this stipend. And I was like, what? And they're getting it for what? And so at that point it became, the principle of the matter. And so I went and applied and figured,
if I qualify, I qualify. If I don't, I don't.
And I had a bunch of, Vietnam guys who at the time did not qualify, because this was only presented for post 9/11 warriors. They did not qualify, but they were in the, can't even think of the name of the organization right now. But different veteran services organizations that they were involved with. And they're like, you rate it, you need to go get it. And that's what it's there for. It's there for you. And so I was like, okay, I went and applied, was denied. And I know for a fact that there were people who were less injured physically than I was, who were receiving the maximum amount. And so I ended up having them, a veteran service organization, act on my behalf in order to argue that I rated it.
Yeah.
And so then they reevaluated and they came back and they said, okay, you qualify for the program, but there are 3 tiers to the caregiver program. Tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. And I always get them confused. And I think tier 3 is the highest actually. And tier 1 being the lowest, I believe is how it works. And then inside those tiers, there's different levels. And I think there's 7 or 9 levels inside each one.
This already sounds like a government program.
Right.
And so when they rated me, I was rated at the lowest level of the lowest tier. So like barely qualified. Right. And I was like, okay, because there are days, when I would go home and I'm done, legs hurt. I'm kicking the legs off. I don't want to I don't want to go shopping. I don't want to go to the grocery store. I don't want to cook, And so,
there's been a solid 2 years of him not going to grocery stores or shopping.
It's become habit at this point. So,
Chet, we need to go over to Williams Sonoma. I don't need to go. Yeah, you do.
You go in there for me, please. But I started looking at it and I was like, so, and then the whole process is a literal pain in the ass. So now that they've done this whole approve me for the program, now I've got to have all these meetings, and I've got to have a nurse come initially and do a home inspection. And so then they come into your home, make sure the home's safe, and
you're giving them access.
Right. So they look around, and then, they ask stuff that does not pertain to my activities of daily living. Like, well, do you have any guns in the home? I mean, and I've got,
What do you think?
I scared these to death. No, yes, I shot them, and so
I looked at them and growled and they keeled over,
and then it's like, well, where are they at? Or are they locked up? I'm like, that's none of your concern. It's none of your business what I do with my weapons inside my own house. And so that's just, it's one of those things. And I see that more as an issue for somebody who is on the program for post-traumatic stress or something like that, where they, I get it. That is not my case. That's not anywhere on my file for post-traumatic stress. That's not even on my list of things that I'm injured about, And so when I asked the question, I was like, well, what does your wife do for you? And I said, well, she, if we do get groceries or something like that, she's the one that carries them in. And especially initially when I was not on good legs, and it's like, how hard it is to try to wheel your chair and carry groceries at the same time. Doesn't work that way, but, and then she cooks for me and does all this stuff. And then they're like, well, that really doesn't matter because she's your wife, and that's kind of expected.
What?
Like, I'm like, okay, so now you're telling me
that's what I told her, and then she hit me.
Yeah. Who was I talking to today? Was that you that for Valentine's Day you drew your wife a bubble bath?
Yeah, in the kitchen sink.
The kitchen sink.
I did not do that.
Yeah,
that was a joke.
We'll see.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
But anyway, it's like, okay, but that's expected. Okay, so it just happens because I'm married that we don't qualify for that because that's considered her spousal duty. And okay, but I cooked a lot prior to. Yeah. But they don't take that into consideration. And so
on this tier or ever
in anything. So, I'll go over that later, but
man,
I was like, okay, so you're telling me that I'm married, my wife, because it's her spousal duty, but what if I'm single? I've got to pay somebody to come in here and do that stuff for me because I'm unable to do it myself.
Yeah.
But they're getting it. And so there's the big issue for me on this program is that there was no standardization of what was expected, because
based on your caseworker, you can get somebody comes like, oh yeah, let me show you how to do this so we can get to max you out. And then other ones are like, I'm going to see about not giving you a single penny.
Yeah. And, Kansas is very difficult to work with on those issues. Whereas in California, they just hand it out, and when I asked initially, I was like, well, I don't get it. So my buddy down in Texas is getting not him, but his wife is getting a stipend of about $2,100 a month. It's substantial. Mine's nowhere near that. And I said, he's getting that. So I'm just asking the question, why is my wife all the way down here? Well, it varies from state to state. I'm like, it's a federal program.
Yeah.
It's the VA. It's not the Kansas VA. It's VA. So why is it so different? And so I started asking around and figuring it out and trying to figure out the reasons why. And so I just started talking to different spouses and what issues they've come up with and what issues they were dealing with. And that is the biggest thing that always comes back is there's no standardization. You basically have to not necessarily make up, but you have to act when you're in these appointments like it's your worst day ever. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're not going to get it, because if you're fine most of the time and, whatever, if you only need help so often, which you would think would be, you're just at the lower end of the list instead of not qualifying at all. And no, it doesn't matter. So what they've done in 2021, they did this expansion act, which I 100% agree with because it was not open to.
They're going to expand the program.
Yeah. So they're going to expand the program to include veterans of Vietnam.
Yeah.
So Vietnam forward, which I 100% agree with because those guys now they're in their late 60s, 70s, 80s, and they need the help and they didn't qualify before, but now they qualify. So completely get that. But in the process of this so-called expansion, they're kicking off. They expect from their preliminary investigation that over 7,000 families are going to be removed from this program. And again, it just comes back to no standardization between them. And you look at $30 million for a package here. Whereas if you put that into the VA caring for the people that went off and served the country, because, and I'm not going to give out any names and people are going to say, oh, well, it's, what do you call it? Straw. It's a straw man argument. But there is a paraplegic who is being removed from the program because he doesn't qualify. The dude is permanently in a wheelchair, but does not qualify. So it's messed up. It's jacked up. It's, and I think right now, so what they call me is a legacy member. I can't remember what they call it, but it's I was on it before they did this expansion.
Yeah.
So, I get the call for because again, you have to have quarterly visits.
Quarterly?
Yeah. Every 3 months.
What were they before? Annual?
No, every 3 months.
Oh, okay.
And so,
just to make sure his legs hadn't grown back.
Right.
But they come in and they do, on the good part of that program is that they do
like a wellness check.
But they ask my wife, they spend, because they'll talk to us separately, make sure I'm not abusing her, make sure she's not abusing me. Then they bring us together and talk, and that's fine. And they give her resources, if she's getting stressed out or anything like that she can seek out, which I think is awesome. That's a great part of the program. And there's different courses and stuff that they can take to learn more about being a caregiver and how to go about it and stuff like that. So there are the merits of the program are there, but it's the way that they decide people are either
in or out,
qualified for it or not qualified for it is ridiculous. Because they have had a lot of waste in the program, which is now they're coming back and saying, oh, there's been a lot of people that don't necessarily qualify. But in the process, they're kicking off people that legitimately do qualify.
Because they're reevaluating everyone, right? They're just we're clean slating.
Yes.
Just because you're approved doesn't mean we're coming back in. We're going to do this whole thing over.
Yeah. So you go through now, and so now they call it they're doing a review, basically, of anybody that was on prior to October of 21. Your legacy members, and they're reevaluating them to ensure that they still qualify for the program. And so now I got the call, hey, we're doing this reevaluation. You're going to have to fill out this whole new packet and do all this kind of stuff. And for me, I told my wife, I was like, just call them back. Next time they call, tell them we're not going to waste our time. Just go ahead and take us off. I go, it's not worth it. I said, because here I am, I'm trying to be a functional member of society and go do the absolute most that I can. And I said, and yes, there are days where she would have to do everything, but is that the majority of the time for me? Absolutely not. So I don't have a problem being removed from the program. And I'm actually kind of excited about it because I hate the 3-month visits, because then they look at us like, oh, you work? Yeah, I work, and then it forces people who may not be as I don't want to sound like a jerk, but
that's the first time.
but they make you, it forces some people to exaggerate so that they,
make sure they're qualified.
Yeah. And it's like, it shouldn't have to be that way. Look, I've been up front with you the whole time. This is what I do. This is where I've gone. What did you do this month? Well, let's see. I've been to Kentucky. I've been to Canada. I've done all this. Yeah. Oh man, you get out a lot. And I'm like, yeah, I do what I can, and I was like, for me, really, I go, my house it's all accessible. So I don't have any issues at home. I said, but if we go out, like just for, I guess, an example, we were out when we got our Christmas tree and we went to a Christmas tree farm. We're going to cut it down. They had 2 fields, but in order to get to the second field, there was like this steep hill that you had to go down and then climb up. Well, going downhill for me is tough. And it's even harder if there's rocks or anything like that. And so what do? Hey, give me your shoulder. And so I have my wife give me her shoulder. And that's one of the jobs that is listed on an ADL. Do I need that every day? No, because I'm not meeting a hill every day. But it is something that, hey, if we're going to go do something, she's got to be there. She can't just run off and go do her own thing.
Yeah.
It's, if we're out traveling or whatever it might be. But it forces all these other people to lie because they have to act. And that's what I was told directly was not by anybody by the VA, but was you can't go at it if you're feeling good today. You've got to go at it. You got to take your worst day. And then that's what you've got to,
what you have to say it's like.
That's what you've got to base your interview on.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of curious what one of the wives thought. I lost it. Too many texts today. And this was her response when I just asked her what her thoughts were on this expansion. And she said the campaign for inclusive care was a national initiative to integrate caregivers into their veterans care team. Under the Legacy Caregiver program, caregiver support coordinators were in regular contact with the caregivers, guiding them in caring for their veterans. With the expansion of the program of comprehensive assistance for family caregivers, legacy caregivers are being removed under the guise of standardization of the program to focus on all eligible veterans. There wasn't necessarily a change in the rules or eligibility. It still focuses on eligible veterans with moderate and severe needs. The application of the final rule and the interpretation from VISN to VISN is what varies, and VISN is Veterans Integrated Services Network. So basically just the region of the network that you're in. And that's what I was talking about before is everything just, there's no standardization. They're talking about standardization, but there is none because it varies from state to state. And so there are some good caregivers that are being taken off of this program that absolutely deserve to be on the program. I don't see myself as one. It wasn't a priority for me. I said, let's just let it go. But it's sad that they would spend money in other places where you only have a total of about 33,000 now. It was 19,000 before when you start adding the Vietnam era veterans in there and post Vietnam, prior to 9/11, that kind of bracket right in there. It was, your legacy members are 19,000. So they added about 14,000 more people to that while getting ready to remove almost a third of the entire program. And I just think it's stupid.
That's crazy.
Because even if you're talking about what is 33,000, even if everybody's maxed out at, I don't know, and they do it by your zip code, kind of like your basic allowance for housing or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's all based on where you live. And so, here in Kansas, we would get less than somebody.
Yeah.
Because they base it off of what you would have to pay somebody to come and do that for you. But instead you're going to have your family do it for you and the government's going to reimburse your family. And so I think the incentive behind the program is great. I think the way the program is run is absolutely stupid. And I think it should be fixed.
Yeah. And how the government wastes money on top of that. So the Snopes thing says, it's false. Well, it says it's mostly false because they're going off of the government spending $30 million on crack pipes. Well, that's false, according to Snopes. They're spending $30 million on care packages for addicts is what they're doing, which includes crack pipes, needles, condoms. Just, hey, here's some, be sterile and clean when you go do your stuff.
Yeah.
They have since removed the crack pipes from that, the packages.
So heroin's still in.
But the thing is, and this is what gets me
Can I get a spoon?
crazy about government is if you were to give somebody a crack pipe,
Jail time.
yes,
Yeah.
but the government could give somebody a crack pipe.
Yeah.
That's messed up. $52 billion in waste is what's been identified. And this will make you even more mad that they're trying to pinch pennies on wounded veteran families. The $52 billion could actually build 13,000 miles of a 4-lane highway. A highway that if you 13,000 miles, you literally cross the United States like over 5 times. That's a lot of money. What are they spending it on? You ask, huh, Troy? Well,
What are they spending it on, Chet?
yeah, the United States actually bought fighter planes, airplanes for Afghanistan that they threw away before we went out in August. They destroyed them. That was $549 million, $2.4 billion on buildings that they constructed in Afghanistan. The old PPP loans from the Small Business Association.
That's a big one.
Yeah, they gave away $4.3 billion to people that were not eligible for the program. They just didn't look at all the filings and realize that they weren't eligible, so they gave away $4.2 billion. Yep. CARES Act unemployment insurance payments that went to the wrong people, $36 billion. No, $36 million.
Didn't some dead people get paid?
Oh yeah, improper.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a $2.1 million program to incentivize California residents to uninstall their fireplace because burning wood is bad in California. So they paid $2.1 million to incentivize people, give them a little tax break here for you to take your fireplace out of your house. They spent $11 million on a program to try to get people to stop burning trash. $11 million.
Wow.
Yep. $400 million in planting trees in New York City. Yep.
Where?
They want to get high schoolers
On
excited
tops of the
about
buildings.
being airplane pilots. It's $5 million for that program for the FAA.
Oh, I heard about that one.
This is just in 2021. Just in 2021.
What's our national debt right now?
At the same, it's some odd trillion.
17 trillion.
What comes after trillion? Because we got to be close.
It doesn't. Yeah. But like all this is going on in the government. And then you have people that served our country, volunteered to serve our country overseas, get blown up, get injured in some form or fashion, come home. And they're like, yeah, we're going to trim the budget a little bit here and pull some people off of this program.
Yeah, you're good.
You're good.
But let's just send. How much were those planes? 500
Yeah. I don't know.
500 million, somewhere in there.
$549 million.
So even if they included everybody at 33,000 caregivers who qualified for this program, and if every single one of them qualified at $2,100 a month, I know that mine was way, way, way less. That comes out to $70 million a year. That's nothing.
Oh, no. Nothing at all. $70 million a year.
And I get it. If there are people abusing the program, take them off. Absolutely. I agree with that completely. And, this is not to say, and this is not a bash the VA type of deal, because I've had, very good experiences. I know a lot of veterans have had poor experiences, but overall, my experience with the VA has been very, very good. With the healthcare services that I get, the doctors that I see are good. The amputee clinic here in Wichita, I think, is one of the best, if not the best in the country. But their social services are horrible and they need to be fixed. And that's what's been on my mind.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Absolutely.
Well, thanks for bringing that to light.
So I am sorry to the people that are getting taken off of the program, and would urge you that if you do qualify and your caregiver is unable to actually work because of your injury, get with a veteran service organization, whether that be the DAV. The DAV is who actually helped me out in the beginning. And it was within 2 weeks. I'd been denied. 2 weeks later, oh, you're good. Like, they took care of it.
Yeah.
And so the DAV does really, really good work in that arena. I would recommend that you reach out to them and get them on your case, get them on the case and have them help you out.
And if that doesn't work, you may go to film school, because the National Science Foundation paid $2.5 million to have a film developed about dinosaurs to inspire middle schoolers. So,
see, to me, that's
a plan B.
That seems like something that a simple production company could do for about $25,000.
Yeah. Well, I'm just telling you, man, this middle school inspiration of dinosaurs. I mean, Jurassic World came out last year. You want to get somebody excited about dinosaurs, just let Hollywood do it.
Yeah.
No, $2.5 million. Got to focus on the middle schoolers.
On the whole dinosaur thing, it was a statistic that not a statistic, but a fact that I read. Did you know that George Washington had no idea that dinosaurs even existed?
Yeah, they hadn't found fossils yet.
Huh.
I knew that because Matt brought it up to me earlier.
I just thought that was
interesting to think about.
Kind of an interesting. I can't remember when the first fossil was found. It was like in the 20s, I think.
Yeah,
something like that.
Wow, we've only known
for
100 years.
For 100 years that there was dinosaurs,
and we need to get people more excited about it. Apparently.
Even though
middle schoolers, for sure,
to the tune of $2.5 million.
Yeah,
if you're gonna err on the side of wasting government money, like, do it with wounded veteran families, not buildings in Afghanistan.
Not giving them the weapons that are going to be used to terrorize us in the future.
Right.
Exactly.
Thanks, government.
You're so stupid.
Well, let's move on to our top three.
Are you sure you don't want to hear some more?
No,
here, Troy?
I'm disgusted. Let's take a break. Need to go puke.
1783, the first victory. Victorious in war, this year sees America earn her independence. At Admiral's Pennant, we celebrate victories at the end of war. 1783 is the first of many such celebrations in our nation's history. This is an elegantly refined blend of sandalwood, cedar, and tea tree. The subtle, lingering, woody scent of the sandalwood, light cedar, and the top notes of tea tree is the essence of masculinity, honoring the men who fought and continue to fight to provide us our independence.
Check it out at admiralspennant.com. Without it, you might as well shave.
All right. Welcome back.
And we're back. Yeah, so now that I went and threw up my lunch, we can get on with this show. And we're going to talk about something a little bit more exciting, and that's the top 3 golf resort / courses you would like to play at in your lifetime. See, I did it again.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll lead us off.
Chet, do it.
All right. Honorable mention. I'm on a roll with honorable mentions.
Okay.
Yeah, you are.
Old Bow. It's in Roaring Gap, North Carolina. I would like to play at this golf course again. I've already been there. It's awesome. It's in the mountains, not a valley. There's just so much elevation change. They have like switchbacks on the golf cart path. And
how many balls did you lose?
A lot, but one of the reasons why is Old Bo. Bo's actually a dog that the course is named after, and he's buried at the green on the 15th hole, which is right on the edge of this huge ravine. And so you play the 15th hole, and then you go over there to Old Bo's grave, and they have a little small tee box, and you tee one up and hit it into the ravine for Old Bo.
Oh, nice.
Pretty awesome. So we did more than just tee one up there. We teed a few up there and just hit them off.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure
pretty cool.
Lots of folks do.
All right, number 3, Copper Creek Golf Club. It's in Colorado, and its elevation is at 9,863 feet. It is the highest altitude golf course you can play in these United States.
I have played
Have you?
this course.
Is it awesome?
It is fantastic. And so next time you go to Breck, it's actually located in Leadville.
Yeah,
and
I know Leadville.
is not, that's where the course is. I will say this, the fairways, because it is the Rockies, are hard.
Yeah.
They're very solid fairways.
Hit some bombs.
I have the longest drive of my life at that golf course.
Yeah.
This was prior to losing my legs. We were there vacationing on a summer, took leave to go or whatever. And Audrey's dad loves to play golf, and Audrey's mom plays as well. My wife and kids will dabble.
Yeah.
And but I got up to that. There's one tee box, and they actually have a tower that you can climb up on to make sure that nobody's down the way. And I was like, I'm going to unleash on this one because dogleg right. I smoked that ball. It was a 472 yard hole.
Yeah.
Now I didn't drive the ball a straight 472.
Right.
Right. It bounced. But at that time, I think my average drive was about 315, somewhere in there. And I bombed it. And by the time I was done, I had counted 550 yards that ball went just doop.
On the cart path?
No, fairway.
Yeah.
Just bouncing. It was gone. It was incredible.
Sweet.
Yeah, I was blown away. I was like, there's no way. And then the last hole, you're coming back towards the clubhouse, and I was middle of the fair. This is maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And I'd gotten my new clubs, which my new ones are the Callaways. And I know my ranges. And so I was adding about 10 yards per club. And I was like, okay, I'm about 170-ish from the green. And so I took my 160 club, and I mean, the only place in the world that I ever just have the smoothest, crispest, best hit off of that iron. You know, as soon as it leaves that it was a perfect shot, heading straight for the pin, straight over the green, straight into the clubhouse. And I was like, Gah! It's a fun course though. Pretty too.
I've checked that out. Number 2, St. Andrews.
Yep.
Birthplace of golf. That's just iconic. My game is built for that course. I'm a low hitter, like the roll and the wind and all that there. I'd just like to see how I do. Well, my game is not built for that course from a scoring perspective because I suck, but my shot shape is good for St. Andrews. And then number 1, Masters in Augusta, Georgia. I just want to play. I mean, that would just be so awesome to play on that course in the spring with the azaleas blooming, and a lot of history there too.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That place is just beautiful.
I like that. Yeah.
That's it.
Matt, what you got?
All right. So my number 3 is Cape Kidnappers Golf Course in Hawke's Bay, New Zealand. And it's kind of on a bay. So almost kind of like it reminds me of a little bit of like Pebble Beach, but a lot more nasty.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going off, I mean, it's going off the side of the cliff and you're done.
You're done.
And almost everything is built. Every fairway is built along like a ravine. So either side you're going, if you miss, and just ocean all around you, mountains. And then I just can't imagine a more beautiful place to play golf than that. It's fantastic. Number 2, the old course, St. Andrews.
Yep.
Just because of the history. I'd love to go there anyway. Never been.
Yeah.
To anywhere, I guess, really in that part of the world, with the exception of Germany or Ireland is probably the closest I've been, but beautiful part of the world. And if I've got one place, that I really, really want to play, somewhere else than the U.S., with the exception of my number one, which is Wolf Creek Golf Club in Mesquite, Nevada. Mm. This course has intrigued me ever since Tiger Woods Golf 2009, because it's one of the courses that you can play. And I had an Xbox that I played this game on. We played it in the barracks. That's what your government money does for Marines during the week. And the first hole, it's a video game, so you can't really tell, but it's extremely elevated. And the green is way down there. And, if I'm playing Tiger Woods, I can whack that ball. There's a creek that kind of crosses the fairway. Yeah. And that was the big thing, was to get the ball over the creek. And I think back in the day, I probably could have made it over the creek. Today, I'm playing it safe, but beautiful course. I'd love to play there. Not when it's hot.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
Nevada when it's hot is not fun.
But it also, it's got kind of almost the desert type look to it, the red rock and all that kind of stuff. Just really looked to me playing on the computer, or Xbox, just a really beautiful course to play.
Yeah.
And then runners up, if it would be a couple of places that I have played before and I would love to play again.
Yeah.
Marine Memorial Golf Course on Camp Pendleton.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing like it. I think it might've been foreshadowing for me a little bit. I might have told you that story.
I don't know.
But prior to my deployment to Afghanistan, I was huge into golf because I started playing golf really heavily when I was on I&I in Kansas City, because that job was basically a 7 to 4 job, and I had the afternoon to go play golf. And some days it'd be like, do you need anything from me? Nope. Okay, I'll be on the course. Call me if you need me, because the course was basically attached. It was on the base because it was an old Air Force base that was shut down.
Most Air Force bases had golf courses on the base.
Yeah.
And so you go over there and it was
all the ones I was at.
Well, Barksdale had one, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've played that one a couple times.
Yeah. And there used to be one at McConnell. I don't know if it's still active or not. But so I got really into golf there. And then when I went to 5th Marines in California, golf course on base. And so on the weekends, or even after, if I got off early enough, which didn't happen too often, but I would go after work and I'd go to the driving range and I'd just work on my swing as often as I could. And then on the weekends, I'd play 36, 48, I'd put 2 rounds a day down playing and was getting really good. But it's a beautiful course. You've got, you might see the random buffalo that just, runs across, because Camp Pendleton has a large herd of free ranging bison. But one weekend I'm getting ready to tee off on the 10th hole, starting the back 9. And I stopped in my golf cart and I'm just watching. And this guy walks up and he's got 2 prosthetics, and he's wearing 2 prosthetics, and he tees off from that tee box, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
That dude killed it. And the whole running joke leading up to our deployment was we would say, well, are you, I'd be okay losing a leg. Yeah, I'd be okay using a couple of legs. But I got to have my hands though, because I'd be able to play PlayStation, whatever. And we just make fun of getting injured because we knew there was a high probability that some of us were going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, it's all kind of a running joke every day, careful, you're going to lose a leg. And, but I saw that and I was just like, dude, I can still play golf. I'm good with losing legs. And so, after being injured, it was like, well, I've already seen that dude play golf. I know I can play golf. No big deal. Let's go.
Yeah.
And so just little things like that. It was just kind of maybe a little bit of foreshadowing, God saying,
right,
yeah, you're going to be fine.
Yeah. You got this.
And so, yeah, it was kind of cool. But I'd like to play that one again. I'd definitely like to play Del Mar Country Club again. That's where Mickelson, that's his home course.
Yeah.
And it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It is gorgeous. And the homes are incredible.
I couldn't play on a course like that because I'd be breaking things.
Oh, I came so close to this huge house with this the whole back is glass.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's scary.
but yeah, it was a beautiful, beautiful course. And then Pebble Beach and Torrey Pines.
Yeah.
I did play Torrey Pines because as a resident of San Diego, it's $40.
Oh, wow.
So,
Wow.
Yeah, well, speaking of Torrey Pines, it's number 2 on my list.
ooh,
Yes, sir. San Diego, California. I would love to go play that one. So number 3, man, that's unlike me to go out of order, but you said
I
it.
forced you into it.
You did. Number 3, I put number 3 because it's the closest one I could probably go play this. Sand Hills.
Oh, yeah.
Mullen, Nebraska.
Nebraska?
Have you played that one?
No.
No. I'd really like to go there and probably make that one happen. San Diego might be a little bit of a challenge there. But then number one and 2, I picked those because beautiful places and it's a nice climate. So Cypress Point Club and Pebble Beach.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I was 2019. No, 2000. Yeah. I was doing some work out there and had a random day off. I was at a conference and then I wasn't scheduled for anything on one of the days of the conferences. So I was like, I'm going to just drive around. So I just got on Pacific Coast Highway and started driving and realizing where I was. And I was like, oh, I could just drive by the course, you know? So I got on the map and did whatever and turned off into this neighborhood and they had a security guard there. And I'm like, oh, I was just following the map here. I was just going to drive by. He's like, oh yeah, you want to see the golf course? I'm like, yeah. Yeah, that's like $10. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, you got to pay $10 to drive.
Pay him or pay?
No, like they get a tag and put it in your dashboard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, looking back on it, like I'm okay. Like $10 probably would have been worth it.
Yeah.
But don't, like in my mindset at the time, I'm like, I was just going to drive by and look. I wasn't even going to get out, you know? I'm not paying $10 to drive in your neighborhood. Like, forget you. Where do I turn around? You know, I was like, I ain't paying $10. That's what I was like. I ain't paying $10 for this. Where can I turn around? He's like, well, you just drove up there and, you know, such. I'm like, yeah, that's ridiculous. And so then I went to some state park, Big Sur.
Big Sur.
And I went hiking.
There you go. For free?
Yes.
For free.
And I saw some turkeys and I got bit by a tick.
Ah.
That I found out within an hour that I had a tick on me. Unlike some people I know that go days.
At least 3.
Still got the scar.
Anyway, that's my California Pebble Beach.
Nice. Well, those are some good top 3s right there. It's nice places to play.
Go play some golf.
We're getting there.
Getting there. It's almost springtime.
Get me fired up.
All right, Chet, you got a good word for us? Close us on out.
Got 3 good words. Salt, light, joy. A passage comes out of Matthew chapter 5, verses 13 through 16. And it says, you are the salt of the earth, but if salt has lost its taste, how shall its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled under people's feet. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. Why do you think he picked salt and light as examples for this?
Well, salt can do so many things.
Can salt lose its saltiness?
That's a great question.
No.
No, it can't. And can light not light things?
No. It has to light things.
Yeah. So I think that the whole, what if salt has lost its taste? Like, it's not possible. Right. It's just not. Salt, they mine it not too far from here, or used to, or still do.
Still do.
And it's been there for however many years, and they're still pulling it out, and it's still salt. It doesn't lose it. And you know, they mentioned that a candle by the a naked human eye, the light of a candle can be seen up to 1.5 miles away. Like just that little bitty candlelight. Of course, it has to be in pure darkness for you to see something like that. But I think the neat thing about us being called to be salt and light is that it's something that is on 100% of the time. It's something that it's not going back to another thing. It's not going to lose its saltiness. It's not going to not put out light. Which I think is fantastic to think that what we should be is always pointing people to Jesus. And not, I'm salty now, not in the salty sense of the, salty person.
Not the pop culture phrase.
But, I'm going to be salty now and I'm going to not be salty. And then, I'm going to end up being worthless one day. Well, no, if you're salt, you're salt and you'll always be salty. And if you're light and you'll always be putting light off. So just put yourself in situations where you can be seen. Don't pull yourself out. And that's the whole why light a candle and put it under a bushel.
No.
I'm going to let it shine. Sing it. But I think that's, I think in any circumstance, right? That's what we should be doing. I know if we were being persecuted or somebody's putting pressure on us not to be acting like a Christian or not to have these values that we have. If you're salt, you're salt. And that's just who you are. And you're going to be putting off salty taste. If you're light, you're light. You can't stop putting off light. And a lot of times we may want to hide it or try to cover it up. But what Jesus was saying there in that passage in Matthew is if you were something that, if you were to lose it, it'd be worthless, but you can't lose it, right? It's salt is salt and light is always lighting. I think that's pretty neat. And so we should have joy in that. That should be well, cool. I'm not at risk of losing my light. I'm not at risk of not giving off salty taste. That's just who we are now that we're believers.
Yeah, I like that. To live is Christ, to die is gain. Thanks for listening to the Hardheaded Podcast. Don't forget to share this podcast with others to help us get the word out.
Also, if you haven't yet, please rate and review the show. This helps our podcast show up in other people's suggested shows that may or may not have listened to us before.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
$150,000 to provide trips for Korean kids to visit Washington, D.C.
Yay!